Hello, this is a project based presentation and demo for this AWSCM tool. And what is AWSCM tool? It is automated web service change management tool. And this work been done by me, Animesh Chaturvedi. I did my masters from Indian Institute of Information Technology, Jabalpur. And so this work was the part of MTech thesis that would be helpful for understanding how this demo based or tool based project works and could be presented. Next, introduction. We'll see introduction tools for construction of algorithm of WSDL, and then algorithms for construction of RRTS and various components for these two things. Then applications of AWSCM, conclusion of these AWSCMs and other published article on AWSCM. So these are the component and the structure of the tool that was being developed. So automated web service change management tool basically construct subset WSDL, and it also construct RRTS, means reduce regression test suite, and subset WSDL and RRTS was being constructed based upon change impact analysis on WSDL and web service code. What is change impact analysis? Change impact analysis is when a web service from version 1 to version 2 or version 3 or version 4, there is some of the changes which actually occurs in those web services, and analyzing those changes and the impact of the changes is actually the part of change impact analysis theory, where these changes could possible at the WSDL level and at the web service code level. So these impact analysis could be done. And next, WSDL visualization and capture all these changes in the form of intermediate artifact could be possible. These two figures are being describing the architecture. In the AWSCM, there are two parts. Its first is ORTWS, means operationalized regression testing of web service. Difference WSDL, reduced WSDL, unit WSDL are being generated from these three things. And combined WSDL is the combination of all the difference WSDL, reduce and unit WSDL. Then what is the main purpose of this ORTWS? It generates combined RRTS. What is RRTS? Reduce regression test suite. And based upon these combined WSDL. And then second part of this AWSCL is like parameter WSDL. And what is being helpful from this parameter WSDL? Parameter WSDL helps to do code flow analysis or data flow analysis, and it generates a parameterized regression reduce regression test suite. So parameterized reduce regression test suite was one of the helpful test suite for analysis of these subset operations or subset code of a large web service. Next, in part B of this diagram, so first the code analyzer and WSDL analyzer was being done for with the help of diff analyzer, means difference analyzer between the versions of this code, and then WSDL are being used to construct some WSDL code. And how it has been done? It has been done by gathering different part of a web service WSDL, and thereafter with the help of this WSDL and all the code differencing and all these things, with we have some old test suite which is existing test suite. So existing test suite are being used with this WSDL to construct a reduce regression test suite. Next, we introduce the two that what we have done in this whole demo part of this project. So we have worked for the two theories: operationalized regression testing of web service, and we worked for parameterized regression testing of web service. And these two techniques are being prototyped in the form of AWSCM. This AWSCM contains modules for regression testing. And what are these two type of testing? ORTWSL WS and PRTWS. So ORTWS and PRTWS are the two modules of regression testing inside AWSCM. Then this tool AWSCM is basically gathering WSDL difference. It actually gathers unit WSDL, unit code difference, web service code difference. So with the old and new WSDL, you can construct a difference WSDL for the difference of the two WSDL. In the figure, you can see gathering of unit difference means code difference. With the help of old WSDL and new WSDL, you can construct a unit WSDL. Then some user can select some of the operations for the selection, analysis, and construction of this reduced WSDL. And this reduced WSDL are being used for further analysis of construction of RRTS, reduce regression test suite. So all these different WSDL like difference WSDL, unit WSDL, and reduced WSDL are being used to construct reduce regression test suite from old test suite. Next, these all three type of WSDL means difference WSDL, unit WSDL, and reduced WSDL are being combined to construct combined WSDL, CWSDL. And this CWSDL is further helpful for construction of a reduced regression test suite. So the construct module for RRTS is being used for constructing combined reduced regression test suite from old test suite, and thus we have all these output like we get different WSDLs. For example, difference WSDL, unit WSDL, reduced WSDL, and we get different kind of several kind of reduced regression test suite. Additionally, we get combined reduced regression test suite, and these all the procedure that all the functions that this AWSCM code tool does. So ORTWS has three intermediate artifacts. So what are the three intermediate artifacts? It's like construction of a difference WSDL means changes of a WSDL code. WSDL XML code was being captured at difference WSDL means DWSDL. Then changes at the code level of web service means business logic code difference was being captured at unit WSDL means UWSDL. Then there is selective means some of the selection could be possible for the analysis of web service. So this has been captured in reduce WSDL. Next, these WSDL are being combined together to form CWSDL, which is being used to construct the combined RRTS and which is being shown in the figure. Next, PRTWS module has parameter WSDL. For next module of this AWSCM is PRTWS module. First module was ORTWS module, which has three steps, and second module is PRTWS module. What this PRTWS module does, it does construction of a parameter WSDL means PWSDL for intermediate as an intermediate artifact for further analysis of web service. How this parameter WSDL been constructed? It is one of the kind of extension of unit WSDL means unit WSDL captures any kind of change happen to the code, but the parameter WSDL captures special code flow type of changes which are being gathered with the help of call graphs. Call graphs means calling of one procedure to another and another procedure is calling to another procedure. So all these graphs are being plotted automatically, and these graphs are being used with the help of difference which are being gathered with the unit diff, and these WSDL are being used for old WSDL are being used to construct this parameter WSDL, and this unit difference and call graph difference are being used to construct parameter WSDL, and thus parameter WSDL is one of the kind of extension of unit WSDL. For analysis of web service compositioning, so parameter WSDL can do web service compositioning analysis. Internal call and interaction of those operations analysis can be done with the parameter WSDL. And when we had constructed the parameter WSDL with the help of old test suite, we can construct parameter reduce regression test suite. So this reduce regression test suite is helpful for analysis of the web service, and that can analyze call graphs or control flow graphs and data flow graphs. So how we did this WSDL construction? So algorithms are working inside the the WSDL construct, and we had seen these algorithms for difference WSDL, unit WSDL, reduced WSDL, and parameter WSDL are the termed as subset WSDL and in general. And these subset WSDL are further helpful in accessing the subset service, which is given in the another complementary paper of this work. And this subset service can be accessed with the different ways, in the three ways basically: difference service, reduced service, or combined service. It has been detailed, and detailed explanation is being given in the another paper published on IEEE CloudCom 2014, which is named as subset WSDL for accessing subset service analysis. Then parameter WSDL are being constructed for the operation that has internally affected from the changes. So the internal affected call graphs are being captured with the help of parameter WSDL, and their method are being captured, and their operations are being captured which undergone the changes. Next, called operation are being analyzed with this parameter WSDL for the applicability of a web service compositioning. So web service compositioning like mashup and all these things could be analyzed with the help of WSDL, which is parameter WSDL. Then how it is being constructed? It has been constructed with the two inputs. This is first is new WSDL, and then capturing all these affected operations parameters, and affected code flows are being captured in this PWSDL, parameter WSDL. So this affected operation and new WSDL are being used for construction of PWSDL. Then this DWSDL means difference WSDL algorithm takes two input, new and old WSDL. So difference WSDL checks what is changes between the new version of WSDL and old version of the WSDL, and gathers the operation which are have undergone changes at WSDL level, and the changes happened at the WSDL level is captured in the DWSDL, and this will help to construct DWSDL. Then the this how these algorithms are being used for capturing this RWSDL, unit WSDL, UWSDL, CWSDL. So RWSDL basically gathers input of all the operation, and it asks the user to select some of the operations. So user selects some of the operation that he want or she want to analyze in the web service. So the RWSDL is being constructed. RWSDL means reduce or selective service analysis. This RWSDL is helpful in reduce or selective service analysis with the help of selective operations occurring in the service. Then this UWSDL algorithm takes three input. What is three input? New and old code of a operation and the new WSDL. So these are the three input which goes in the UWSDL algorithm, and it generates UWSDL is being constructed with the operations that have gone through the changes at code. So the changes happened in the code are being captured with the unit differencing tools, and then UWSDL is constructed for only with those operations which has undergone changes. So PWSDL, difference WSDL, and unit WSDL means PWSDL, DWSDL, and UWSDL actually gives access to the difference of a service. What are the difference between the services, and what are the being changed, or between the two versions of a service or a two service. So two difference between the two service can be captured with the help of PWSDL, DWSDL, and UWSDL. Next, this CWSDL means combining all the WSDL is being constructed from the operations and having in one or more subset WSDL, and these operations should be unique and non-redundant. Means if one operation is captured from one subset WSDL, then that operation is will not be considered for the another subset WSDL. Means you this operation will be unique and redundant, non-redundant for construction of the subset WSDL of the kind combined WSDL. So combined WSDL combines operations which are unique and non-redundant. And then this combined web service WSDL gives access to the combined service, means merger of the two different service or two different version of the service, and thus we can analyze this combined service with the help of combination of unique operations among the services which are going to be analyzed. Then the construction of RRTS. What is RRTS construction? It's a construction of reduced regression test suite component. So that can helpful for the analysis of subset web service. With the help of old test suite, we can construct this RRTS. Old test suite and subset WSDL operations. Both combined together, we can generate RRTS, reduced regression test. And how we can generate? We gather those operations which occurs in DWSDL, UWSDL, RWSDL, CWSDL, and PWSDL. For only for those operations which occurs in these subset WSDL, we capture the operations from and we capture test suite mapped for those operations, and these test suite is used for capturing the subset test cases or subset of those test suites for reconstruction of reduced regression test suite. So this is how we constructed reduced regression test suite. Suppose we have a two versions of a web service which is defined named as web service version 1, web modified web service version 2. Then we have a old test suite and which has various test cases for the code analysis of web service. Then we have new test suite, T new, for the which is having test cases for the new version of a web service and code. And then we have a reduce test case, and this is defined as T star, and this required operations are being the operation which has undergone changes. Then RRTS construction could done like this with this algorithms. So this algorithm for the RRTS construction is like we have a T star means old test suite and which is been initialized with some of the so new test suite that we want to construct is being initialized with the old test cases, and then the declare as we declare some of the inserted, deleted, modified and unmodified test cases based upon that. If some operation are being deleted, then the test case would be deleted. But if the some of the operation is being inserted, for that operation we select the test case from the template, and if some operation is being modified, then also we add those test case which we defined as TM with selective test sequencing or test step for the changes which has been happened. Then after that we remove all the unused test cases, which is like T star minus TU means deleting all the remaining unused test cases which are already executed in the testing of previous version. So these TU means unused test cases are already been used earlier testing purpose, means old version of the testing is already been done at these unused test cases. So we can remove those unused test cases. Now we have a T star which is actually been a reduced test cases and which are not being executed in for the old version of a web service. So what we have to do, we have to use only this reduced test case means T star for the analysis of and evaluation of this whole new web service. Then how the equation will look like, that new test case like T star would be like minus Ti plus Tm minus Td and T minus Tu. So the reduced test case would be inserted operations, modified operations, and minus all the deleted operations in the new version, and minus all the unused test cases which are remaining. So this is how we constructed reduced test cases. Next, these are the case study or the web service on which we had executed our tool AWSCM. So DWSDL, RWSDL testing, UWSDL testing are being done on Eucalyptus, SAS, book service. Then dynamic black box testing and static testing are being done over these top three. And then Amazon web service, this reduced WSDL testing is being possible. Then parameterized regression testing is also possible at Amazon Web Service and Bible Web Service. Then currency conversion web service could also have the same property, means reduced regression testing could be done, dynamic testing could be done for the currency conversion web service, weather web service. Then the threat to validity for this project case study analysis is like some of the code of the Eucalyptus and AWS, means Amazon Web Service and Eucalyptus, is not available. So the test data, exact test data of these services are not being available properly. But for the other web services, we had constructed proper test data, means input values and output values for analysis of the other web service. So there's requirement of test data for a web service. So you must know the detail of input and output, expected output for the web service. If you don't know the expected input and expected output of a particular web service, so you can't do a proper testing. If you know the proper input test data and proper expected output test data, then you can able to do a proper web service analysis. Next, the application of this AWSCM is simply combined reduce regression test suite, which is the final output of the whole product. AWSCM is just a prototype, and the actual realization could be like ORTWS and PRTWS is being added to the IDE like NetBeans or Eclipse, and this PRTWS and ORTWS is being added as a feature in web service testing tools like SoapUI or JMeter. If this SoapUI and JMeter have this tool ORTWS and PRTWS in it, then it would be very good for the improvement of SoapUI and JMeter. So what is the actual input? Actual input is new code, old code, and old WSDL. So all these three things are being combined, and this input of the new WSDL and the old test suite are being given, and which is already present in the testing environment of earlier versions. Then only three inputs are actually required. What are the three inputs? New code, old WSDL, and old code. Because we already have new WSDL and old test suite in the testing environment, then we can have an intermediate process like we had discussed in too much detail. So this intermediate process could have intermediate steps that is we had already seen for the integration with the some of the SOAP UI and JMeter like tools, and then we have in the end as actual final output as a combined reduced regression test suite. And this is like the integration of some the whole proposed framework and tool AWSM tool to the SOAP UI and JMeter. Next, the conclusion is like we have done given insight on the computation of change impact analysis and mapping of these test cases, how these test cases are being mapped over the change impact of that code which has undergone changes. Then we had discussed some of the algorithm for construction of reduced regression test suite. So the detailed of that algorithm we had discussed for, and we had constructed that RRTS, and the final output is like combined RRTS. Then AWSCM is like helpful for top-down development of a web service, for subset web service analysis, and it is also helpful for, and we have already seen it is helpful for reduced regression test suite analysis for web service. And this top-down development could be also been possible and doable with these subset WSDL with the help of these subset operations. Next, these are the related paper that is related to this work, and this work been published at IEEE CloudCom 2014, and whole project work and detail is given in the web link of this AWSCM tool. Next, thank you for all of you for listening this presentation, and I hope you have learned the how this demo part of a project works and how you present a demo presentation and demo research papers. So I would like to give the insight of this paper. Like for the AWSCM, this is the paper you find on the link on the IEEE website. The abstract is been written and introduction related work we had given. We had presented AWSCM tool, and these are the architecture that we had discussed. This is the algorithm that we had discussed. These are the various algorithms for construction of reduced WSDL, for construction of unit WSDL, then construction of reduced regression test suite. And next, this case study table and the integration of this SOAP UI and JMeter. Then we had given several references for the work. Parallel paper and complementary paper for this work is subset WSDL to access subset service for analysis. It is more like a research project problem definition and this solution that we had given. So these are the having defined problem and solution, proposed solution. So this paper proposed conceptual model for subset service analysis in the two step, and introduction which has given some problem definition and solution definition, then subset WSDL construction to access the subset service. So this is the major description of the construction of this subset WSDL, which is having three steps that we had discussed. And these are the three kind of services possible: reduced service, combined service, and different service. So these are the slicing and layering. So part A is describing slicing, part B is describing layering of a web service, part C is describing the type of service could be possible. So this is further given detail of web service analysis based upon the category of layering, and this optimization of how it has been optimized to do web service analysis with subset WSDL. So difference WSDL is being presented, unit WSDL is being presented, parameter WSDL is being presented formatically, reduced WSDL is being presented formatically, and this combined WSDL is being formalized here. Then case study description, how this thing is being done practically for different web services, which is being given over here: currency converter web service, global web service, and Bible, sunset, sunrise, and adding deletion. These are the references which are being related to our work. And here I am concluding my presentation for this AWSCM tool for automated web service change management. So thank you all of you for listening the whole presentation. And